Hello collectors and welcome to my review of the Figma Armin. This figure was exclusive to the Winter One Fest held in 2014. By a technicality, this is the second Attack on Titan Figma released, though for many, it's their fourth. With a high aftermarket price, those who don't own him are begging to know if he's worth it. Well, let's take a look and see whether or not he's worth adding into your collection. If you have the other Attack on Titan Figma releases, you already know what you're going to get with Armin here. The sculpt for the clothes is intricately detailed, with folds and wrinkles found all over. This, combined with extremely minor paint slop, makes him another strong entry for this series. Basically, you've already seen this body before, so looking at the newer parts of Armin here, here's his head. No paint slop and his hair is sculpted really well. And here's a shot of the back of his head for those of you who are curious. The torso for Armin is new, and just as you would expect from the Figma line, it is very nicely sculpted, and the detailing is fantastic. There's no paint slop here at all, except for maybe on the silver just a teeny tiny bit. But even then, it's so minor, you don't even notice it. The back of him looks great. Crisp, clean paint on the symbols, and there's really nothing to complain about there. A shot of the thighs here for those who do need it. And finally, the lower portion of the legs. As you can see, there are tons of folds here. Great attention to detail. As usual, this Figma looks great. As expected, Armin has just the right points of articulation. To begin, his head is attached to his neck on about 3 different joints. There's a ball joint that's actually on the inside of the head, then there's an actual swivel joint that meets inside of the neck, and then there's a swivel hinge that actually works to connect the two together. So you can pretty much turn Armin's head around in any direction that you want. But the actual neck itself complements this because, well, it's actually attached to the body on a ball joint. The shoulders are attached into the body on a ball joint, as you can see here. Wiggle the arms around. The shoulders are on that swivel or hinge, depending on how you prefer to call it. So you can move it up and down, and there is also a swivel worked in there. So you can spin it around on the shoulder. The elbows are on a hinge, one, so the elbows bend, and there's also a swivel hidden in there, so you can get it to move around. That's because of the type of joint that's there. The wrists are a swivel hinge or ball hinge combo because they plug into the actual arm on a peg, and the hands are attached on pegs too, so you can pretty much get any sort of movement you want out of the wrist area. In his torso there is a ball joint for the ab crunch, so you can pretty much get Armin to move around in any direction you want in his abdomen area. You can pretty much tilt him all the way back like that. Forward, could use a little bit more, but you can sort of rock him from side to side, and you can twist him and turn him as much as you'd like. Now, when it comes down to his waist area, there is another ball joint. So even though the one up here for the ab crunch, you can't really get him to look down too far, with the waist, well, you're going to be able to do a lot more with that. The thighs are attached to the hips on a ball joint, so you get lots of movement there. This piece of plastic here, it really doesn't restrict the articulation at all, so don't be afraid to maybe, say, get a little bit rough with Armin. And hidden in the thighs, in the sculpt, is a swivel. And the knees use the same joint as the elbow. They're a hinge, or some may prefer to call them swivel joint, and because they peg into the thigh and the shin area, the knee is actually capable of swiveling around, which is pretty nice. And the ankle is the same sort of joint. So you have the hinge motion to allow it to move up and down, and because there is a peg which goes into the foot, you can get an ankle rocker movement out of there. So you can really get Armin to swivel his foot out to the side. Finally, the toe. It's on a hinge. Unfortunately, it can't go down, it can only go up, but that's just a minor complaint. So at the end of the day, if you have the other Attack on Titan Figmas, you're really going to hear me say this a lot in this review, you already know what to expect out of Armin in the articulation department. He's not really any different, but with the accessories he comes with, he could be a little bit more expressive than the others depending on your own personal taste. In the accessories department, Armin only comes with new accessories which are for him. like faceplates and hands. All the other accessories have been done before with the other Attack on Titan releases in the Figma line. First up, the two faceplates that he comes with, aside from the default smiling one, is this concerned one here to the left and this screaming one here to the right. And swapping them out, it's super easy to do. On the sides of Armin's hair, there's this little gap, and if you need to, you can stick your fingernail in there. But basically, you just remove this front hairpiece, grab the currently attached faceplate, pull it out. Then, as you can see there are grooves and indents. You just slide the new faceplate on, and then attach the hairpiece, and there you go. To move down to the hands, the first part I want to make mention of is you get this replacement wrist joint in the event that one of your wrist joints should snap. And as you'll see with mine, that could be a possibility. And here are the hands. You get two sets of hands, which Armin can hold the blades for the 3D maneuver gear. You get two hands where he's just sort of, I guess, casting something off, and then you get two splayed hands. And swapping the hands, it's easy to do, but on mine it's a little bit difficult. So naturally, all that you're supposed to do is just grab the hand, and it will just pop off of the joint, but mine, yeah, the whole wrist joint likes to come out of the arm. So for me, I have to actually grip the ball portion of the joint where the joint is connected to itself. I have to grip it with my nails and slowly ease the hand off. And then I just take another hand, like so, and you just find the hole in the hand and insert the peg in. And as you can see, this is what I was talking about for your Armin may need a replacement wrist joint, because I've almost snapped mine so far a couple of times, so just be careful with replacing the hands. Next up would be the 3D maneuver gear stuff, and chances are if you own Armin, you already own another Attack on Titan Figma, and the 3D maneuver gear stuff, it's identical to all the other releases, so I'm going to go through it really fast for you. So first up, you get the 3D maneuver gear here. Nicely detailed as usual, no paint slop. On the joints here, these are ball joints. They're articulated, so once you plug them into Armin's thigh, you can just spin them around a little bit. And you have a hole in the lower back of Armin here, where you plug in the center of the 3D maneuver gear. Be careful not to break it. There you go. And then you have holes right here in the hips, as you can see, where these little pegs simply plug into, where the, I guess you could say, cords would be shot out. And then, if you don't get them tangled, the gas canisters and replacement blades plug into the upper thigh of Armin. Wow, these are really tight for me. This is nice. So plug in the other one, and there you go for that. Something you can do with these cords here is you can plug them into these portions of the sculpt here on Armin's torso. So this way, if you don't want to use the blades, which I will cover next, you don't have to. And the blades, as you can see here, just as nicely sculpted as the other ones. No paint slop. Pretty great. And getting Armin to hold them is pretty simple. So once you have the hands attached, so this way he can actually hold one of the blades, you just slide it in, like so. Very simple to do. I like to have it so the actual trigger portion isn't exactly on the fingers right away, and then you just twist it in. So this way you don't break any fingers off of the hand. And then this cord here, all you do is you plug it into the bottom of the sword, and now he's ready to start flying around. So if you have the 3D maneuver gear with Armin, he's also going to need cables so this way he can fly around in your collection. Well, to begin, Armin comes with these string cables, like the rest of the Attack on Titan releases, and you get an extra set of strings to go with them, and you get little hooks here, which can come undone, so this way you can attach a Figma stand arm into them, so you can, I guess, support Armin that way, which I really wouldn't suggest doing. And you also get these little plugs here, which I think they go in this way, yeah, and then you can plug this into a DI stage, so this way Armin can get a little bit of support. And all you have to do is find the little tab that's on the string and plug it into the hip portion here on Armin's 3D maneuver gear. Do it with the other one too. And once you do that, then you can safely display Armin actually climbing around your walls or the rest of your collection or your house. But if you don't want to take that risk, there are other cable accessories which come with him. And he comes with these two solid plastic cables. They have a little bit of a bend to them, and they're not really all that detailed, just a little bit of metallic paint here at the tip. A little sharp. But yeah, all you do is you plug them into the same holes you plug the string cables into, like so. And just be careful not to force them too hard because they could snap, but they have a little bit of a bend to them. So you shouldn't worry too much. And there you go. It's a bit static, but you can get a little bit of a dynamic appearance out of that. But there's also another effect part which helps achieve the overall feel of movement. Armin comes with these smoke blast effect parts which clip onto those waist portions of the 3D maneuver gear, and there is a left one and right one, and you'll just be able to tell by the sculpt points in them. And all you really have to do is just slide them on and just work them very gently. So this way you don't accidentally snap these sculpted cables. And just like that, there is now a little bit of motion with the static cables. Next up is that accessory that all of the Attack on Titan Figmas absolutely must have, the cloak, cape, mantle accessory, whatever you would prefer to call it. And crisp, clean symbol on there, very bendy. Be sure to store this in a decent area so that way the bendy plastic doesn't eventually crack over time. You can see there's a little tab here to support them on the back, and there's a nice little silver button there which has no paint slop. Putting it on, easy. All you have to do is pop the head off, slide this onto his back, like so. Line it up with the hole in the middle of his back there, and it comes with a tab. So this way you can just slide it in through the little tab with the hole on the cloak, and line it up with the hole on Armin's back. And once you do, it's nice and stable, and then you can reattach Armin's head. Just like so. And now he's ready to slay some Titans. But there are just a few more accessories he comes with. A standard with all Figma releases, you get a Figma stand. And it comes with an additional tip, so this way you can angle your characters better. And you don't really need to have that on, you can just pop it off. But as an alternative to that little tab, if you want to support Armin, you can use this stand, and you can do so with him being in the air. Just like before, you just have to line up the tab with the peg, and now you have Armin in the air. But wait, there's one more accessory. On the back of the 3D maneuver gear, there's this little black piece here, which is actually a secret tab you can work out, like so, and you get this smoke piece. And you just place this piece where you worked that tab out, and then you can take the Figma stand and plug it into the back of the smoke piece, like so. It's a nice, strong connection, and now it looks like there's actual movement with Armin and the 3D maneuver gear. So when it comes to accessories, this guy comes with everything that you need to make an actual Titan Slayer, and if you need spare parts for some of your other Attack on Titan Figmas, you can pick them up with Armin. Well, when it comes to sizing, you pretty much should have a good idea of how big Armin is if you have other humanoid characters. So to begin, here's Armin alongside some Mighty Morphin Power Rangers SH Figuarts. Sticking with the SH Figuarts line, here's Armin with some Dragon Ball Z characters. And finally, here is Armin with the rest of the Attack on Titan Figmas. So as you can see, he's about the same size as the others, just a teeny bit shorter. So if you already have a spot saved for him on the shelf, chances are you're going to be able to fit him in just perfect. So, buy Armin now, skip him, or wait for a discount. Sculpt and paint are great, just as good as the others. Articulation is the same too, though the ab crunch on mine is restricted just a tad. Accessories are exactly what you would expect. Armin isn't too special to me, being the 4th Attack on Titan Figma with nearly the same accessories as the others, but if you want to round out your team, or even your display, he is a must-own.